Hello and welcome to Near Dark Podcast, episode 37. My name is Zombie and today we are joined by Angel, Josef and Ogge. And in this episode, let's take a journey down south, to Texas in particular, because today we are going to talk about the Texas Chain Saw Massacre from 1974. But before we do that, let's see how the crew is doing. Ogge, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Great. Angel, how you doing?
Could be better, but
And last but not least, Josef.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also doing great.
No, I'm doing okay. I'm a bit tired, but other than that, I'm good. How are you doing, Zombie?
I got a rush of adrenaline the moment I pressed play, and I don't know why. It may be the feeling of dread and dying, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And does anyone have any recently seen from the start of this year?
Anyone?
I have nothing.
Same here, actually.
I've only seen like what I've been doing for like the minisodes, and that's about it.
yeah. Sorry, I had to close my door.
Yeah.
I've watched a shit ton of Disney, so that's just traumatizing in itself, you know. And while being in the hospital, I picked up watching Dexter again. I think it's the fifth or sixth time I've started watching it, and it's so fucking good.
Jesus Christ.
That's
Have you
Many
finished
times.
each time as well? Or?
Yeah. I finished from first episode to last episode of what is like 8 or 9 seasons.
that's dedication.
Yeah, it's good. Like,
I can't remember how many seasons there are. I think it's 8.
yeah, I think it's like 8. Yeah.
But yeah, that series is really, really good.
Yes, it is.
I know you're a fan as well, Ogge.
Yeah, I am. I watched it. It's really good.
Zombie, we're judging you now. You need to watch Dexter and join us.
Ah,
I'm
fuck.
guessing you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen Hannibal, if that's any consolation.
No, it's not.
Ah, fuck.
Do you know what Dexter is about,
Uh,
Zombie?
Kinda. It's this guy that like murders criminals in his like own vigilante justified way. What I know.
Well, he's a what's it called? Blood splatter specialist, I think, for the Miami PD.
Oh,
And he's a serial killer outside of his job, and well, the basic plot is that he got adopted by a cop who brought him up and learned him how cops work.
Taught him
And,
how cops work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
taught.
How
taught
cops
him.
work. So now he's a serial killer. Okay, I got
Yeah.
it.
But honestly, if it's kind of like what somebody is saying that that he is kind of a vigilante since he actually goes after actual killers. It's not just like this guy has robbed a grocery store. It's actual killers, and he does look up proof that they are killers before he does what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I strongly recommend if anyone has missed out on this series, it's good. It is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And if you like Dexter, you should definitely check out the show You. It's very similar.
Oh yeah.
Never heard of.
We have both me and Ogge has talked about it before. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I'm old.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I did finish You. I believe, yeah, You was released this year. Season 2.
You.
Yeah.
I thought Ogge said Deja You.
Oh.
No.
What the shit your ears!
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished season 2 shortly after it was released. It was okay, in my opinion. I don't know, Ogge, have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What did it
It's,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. It's definitely good. I think it's not as good as the first season.
Yeah, I think
Like-
if you binge like the first and the second season all together and you going completely blind on knowing everything about him. Like, I've watched the first season 4 times. So,
Wow.
watching the second season was kind of like, because I've always been like, it doesn't need a second season, it doesn't need a third season, it's fine on its own. But how they ended season 2 is really piquing my interest on what's gonna happen next.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, but I think it kind of went out of control when, you know, that secret twist that I'm not gonna spoil.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That twist with the guy, you know, from the plays, with the weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil the whole fucking show.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
the season is
It's
still
amazing.
really fresh. I mean, we could bring it up in like 6 months when people actually have had a chance to watch it and get their own opinion on it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but surprisingly, this have been, I think, one of the shorter times we have of
Zombie.
let's
You
yeah.
haven't asked me if I have seen anything.
Have you? I dread that question. Let's just skip. You haven't seen anything. Let's go. But have you seen anything, Joseph?
Well, excuse me. Let's just say that I've been basically watching a shitload of things since we last recorded.
Oh God.
But I'm just gonna rattle through a couple of them. Otherwise, this episode will be 4 hours long with me talking for 3 hours.
Isn't it normally though?
Yeah. With that being said, I finally caught up on the James Gunn produced, I guess, anti-hero horror flick Brightburn during our hiatus. Has any of you seen it?
I've heard of it,
Mm? Okay.
but not seen
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
You do?
No.
No. Okay, the plot surrounds this couple who has problems getting a child, and on a fateful night, something crashes into their backyard. And upon investigating the crash site, they find a little boy. They take the boy in as their own, and fast forward 10 years. The boy is about to hit puberty, and through a series of events, he learns the truth about himself, that he's not of this world. And he also discovers that he has superpowers, such as the ability to fly, shooting laser with his eyes, and the fact that he is indestructible.
Isn't it pretty much Superman but evil?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
He starts to use his powers against anyone who opposes him, and basically mayhem ensues.
Now I know of it. I've been planning on watching it because I saw it. What's his face? Foundflix has talked about it, and it seemed really, really, really interesting. But it's just like I can't get around to watch things like that because I'm fucking lazy and I'm streaming all the fucking time.
Let's make it into an episode.
Yeah, probably. We're probably gonna talk about it later.
And that's how I get to watch horror movies, because I can't bother otherwise.
Wow.
But
Because
Doesn't
I've
sound
watched.
like a horror movie though. Is it?
Brightburn,
Yeah.
it is a horror movie. Trust me.
From the trailer, I think it is, because he has like this mask
Yeah,
or
he got
costume that's very unsettling.
he got a really eerie mask, and he
And-
looks really creepy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked Brightburn. I thought it was a lot of fun and a pure shut off your brain and eat popcorn type of movie. The concept of the movie was really cool and unique, and I really liked how they took the concept of Superman and twisted it on its head. But I think the movie was a bit too short. Another 15 or 20 minutes running time with, with additional mayhem would have served the movie good. And I honestly would have loved to see a sequel which could expand upon the character and, show more of what he is capable of, really.
Let's hope then.
I think Brightburn bombed at the box office, unfortunately, so I
Oh.
don't think we will see a sequel, and perhaps they never thought of it as a sequel-worthy movie either. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's most possible.
yeah. But yeah,
That's
I
all.
really liked it. Big thumbs up. You guys should really check it out.
Cool.
Onto my growing list.
Yeah. And the next movie I caught up on was the now new-ish Doom movie, Doom Annihilation.
Excuse me. You're all doomed! I just have to. Okay. Sorry.
Well,
Call.
on that bombshell, I have always loved the Doom game franchise since I played the shareware version of the first game back when I was a little kid, and to be honest, I was a bit skeptical going into this one. I didn't expect much from it since it was produced and released by Universal 1440 Entertainment, I think they're called. It's Universal's direct-to-video branch of the studio, basically. They only produce low-budget direct-to-video stuff. But I was surprised at how much I actually enjoyed this movie. It's not a great movie, but it is a decent watch, in my opinion, at least. It's low budget, and you can tell that it is, especially after you've seen the same zombie getting shot in the face for the fourth or fifth time. And they've taken a lot of inspiration and things from Doom 3. And there is a assload of references to the games, id Software, Doom's creator, and even a small reference to the Wolfenstein franchise in there. The plot is sort of an adaptation of Doom 3, but with some changes. The biggest plot point they've changed is that the main character is a female soldier now instead of Doom Guy, Doom Marine, or the Doom Slayer from the games. Even though I thought this was pretty ironic, because one of the side characters in the movie looks a lot like Doom Guy from Doom 1 and 2. So yeah, they've gone the SJW route with this one, unfortunately. But surprisingly enough, that didn't bother me that much, to be honest. The thing I thought was a bit lackluster with the plot was that the fact that this female soldier, played by what the fuck was her name? Amy Manson, I think her name was your typical soldier with a troubled past who had disobeyed orders, and as a result, her and her team got shit canned and assigned to babysit researchers on Phobos, which is one of planet Mars moons where the Doom games take place. Where these researchers have found a portal that leads to a portal down on Earth, and on arrival they discovered that the shit has hit the fan and they have had to fend for themselves from demons from hell. Everything is super generic, and a lot of plot points are taken from other movies such as Alien and Aliens. And it just feels like most of the things that happen in the movie has been done better in other movies. But with that being said, I think the movie is decent for what it is and for what it tries. The acting is overall good, and some of the action scenes are pretty well executed. I just wish that Universal would have picked up the movie for a cinema release instead and put a big budget behind it. But at the same time, I guess they didn't want to risk it, since their 2005 adaptation of Doom with Dwayne Johnson, Carl Urban, and Rosamund Pike basically bombed at the box office. It was a pretty big flop, if I remember correctly. Huh?
Oh no, sorry. I'm modding a Discord while we're doing this, and this one of the owners posted something. Yeah, I've seen clips from the movie and found fix again.
But by the way, Decker has done a review of Doom Annihilation.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that later. So, yeah, fun fact. Yes, I have a small crush on this man. Leave me alone. The one I'm talking about him. And it does seem kind of interesting. I might give the movie like a chance to watch it, because I like watching the Doom games, but I don't like playing the Doom games. At least the old ones.
To be honest with you, Angel, I don't think neither of the Doom movies would appeal to you. Unfortunately, they are action flicks,
Yeah.
with monsters, basically.
Yeah.
Set in spice.
Yeah, but it's like, I might as well give it a try. Like, if I don't give it a try, I can really have an opinion on the movie. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Probably, I know it's the same game on it, like game, what's it called? Drive or whatever, but I actually prefer Duke Nukem over Doom.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm standing on it. Like, I like watching someone play Doom, because that's, like, on Twitch, is very entertaining, but playing it myself is just a no-go.
Yeah. Okay. Ogge, are you a fan of Doom?
Yeah, I love the games. I've seen the Doom movie, but I didn't like it at all.
The 2005 adaptation.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't very interested in the new one.
No,
I think it was gonna be.
well, the Doom Annihilation is more true to the source material than the 2005 movie. But
Okay.
at the same time, like I said, it is a low budget movie, and they couldn't include that many monsters from the games. But it's okay for what it is, in my opinion. I know that a lot of fanboys of the Doom franchise has taken a big dump over it and just thinks it's other shit. But yeah, give it a try, I'd say. Zombie, do you have any thoughts about Doom?
I know about it, but I'm not like actively watching or playing it, so I wouldn't really say that I have anything to add to this conversation.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
And the new Doom game, Doom Eternal, will be released at the end of March this year.
Oh yeah.
How many Doom games are there?
There are 4 in the main line. Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom, and you got the Doom 64, which is a total remake, basically, of the original Doom. It got other sprites and such, so it looks completely different to the PC version of the game.
Okay.
And if you pre-order Doom Eternal, you actually get a new port of Doom 64 for the new consoles, and I think PC as well. So
Nice.
that's kind of nice.
I'm so hyped for the new Doom game.
Same here.
Yeah.
I love the 2016 Doom.
Yeah, it's, in my opinion, the best FPS game since, like, forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
actually,
without a doubt.
Thinking about getting not the upcoming one, but the newest one.
2016.
Today. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting it because I've seen Tim play it a little bit,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like I'm willing to give it a chance if I can get it at a good price. Oh, talking about that. Maybe I fucked myself over yesterday and got Alien Isolation. I'm gonna cry.
Ooh.
I'm actually gonna cry on stream.
That's a really good game.
Yeah, I've
That's
seen.
a really, really fucking good game.
Yeah, I've seen Ark stream it. And
Yeah, I streamed my entire playthrough of it as well.
yeah, I must have missed it. But yeah, so I'm gonna stream that later when I get my cable for my webcam. And yeah, I'm gonna be.
Let the screaming begin.
I'm gonna be crying.
Okay, let's move on. now.
We're getting
we're getting stuck.
We're getting a bit off topic.
Off topic, we're talking about horror here.
Yeah, but
No, we're talking about games. And
it-
Doom is not a horror game.
Shush.
Well, Doom 3 is sort of.
Yeah, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely
Anyway.
not the 2 newest ones.
Anyway.
do you have any other movies that you want out of your system before we continue?
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Okay. The next movie I finally sat down and watched, and I had this laying around for, I think, almost 3 years. And that was the 2016 anthology horror flick Patient 7, starring Michael Ironside. This one is sort of an oddball, I'd say. The main story is that Ironside plays this psychiatrist who are writing a new book. But for research purposes, he has decided to interview 6 patients at an insane asylum, and their stories are, of course, the short stories in the movie. the odd thing with the movie is that each story in it is short films that was made a couple of years before this movie was made. So none of the short stories are made specifically for the movie. It's just a sort of a compilation of I think there were 7 short films. I liked basically all of the short films, and I got myself a pretty big surprise when I realized that one of the short stories actually was Swedish.
Oh.
That short story is called Evaded, and it's from 2013. And another of the short films that made me a bit surprised was the one about a hitman that has just killed someone and has to go to the dumping ground with the corpse during the Halloween celebration, or Halloween night, but gets interrupted by a group of partygoers. While I was watching it, I realized that I've heard about this premise before somewhere, so I checked it up, and I realized that it was a short film that the first episode and movie rather, of the Into the Dark was an adaptation of, which is the next thing I watched. But yeah, I know that Tagger mentioned this short film. It's called The Body. On an earlier episode, I can't remember which one, but we've covered episode 7 of that series. I'm Just Fucking With You. Which number it is, I can't remember, and I honestly don't care, but
It's like, I think below 20. It's for that.
Honestly, I don't think any one of us actually really cares about that episode
No.
because the movie was
I remember that it was me, Angel, and Tagger on that episode anyway.
It was just us.
Yeah.
No.
Um,
But yeah, Patient 7 was an alright movie. It was a bit odd when I realized that all of the stories were previously released short films and not produced for the movie, you know? As they usually are for this anthology horror flicks.
honestly, it kind of sounds like a mini-sode movie.
Yeah, go for it, I'd say.
Yeah. Not your standard anthology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the next thing, like I said, I've watched was The Body in the Into the Dark TV series. And like I said, it's about a hitman who has just killed someone and blah 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 blah.
Shortcut in here. I'm Just Fucking With You is episode 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got that out of the world.
Yeah, but like I said, it's the same premise as the short story, but they have changed it up a little bit and expanded on the concept. I really liked it, but I thought it was starting to drag a little bit about halfway through, but it started to pick up again around the last 20 or so minutes, and the last portion of the movie was very much slasher-esque, which I enjoyed. Tom Bateman as the hitman was brilliant, and Rebecca Rittenhouse, who also appeared in Unfriended Dark Web, she was the white lesbian.
Oh.
Looked great. And Ray Santiago, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he played Pablo in the Evil Dead TV series Ash vs. Evil Dead. Was pretty funny as well in this movie. And back to back with The Body, I sat down and watched the last thing I'm gonna mention on this episode, and that was Into the Dark Flesh and Blood, which was the second episode of the series. It's about this teenage girl who has developed, oh god, agoraphobia, I think it's pronounced, which is basically the fear of entering open or crowded places. And she develops this after her mother was found brutally murdered almost a year prior, and on the eve of Thanksgiving she starts to suspect that her father had something to do with it. The movie is a slow burn and a suspense piece. It takes its time and builds up slowly, and even though I think I mentioned it about 165 times on this show, I usually can't stand these type of slow-moving movies. But I actually like this one. The only gripe I got with it is that they should have toyed around a bit more with the viewer, since it's very, very obvious where everything is heading very quick. Diana Silvers was good in the main lead, and she also appeared in Ma from last year, which we were to the cinema and watched when it was released. But I would probably say that Dermot Mulroney, I think you pronounce his last name, stole the show here. He's fucking brilliant in the role of the father, and is probably the biggest reason to sit down and watch this movie or episode or whatever. His performance is 110% straight through. It was brilliant, and even though if you're not into this slow type of horror movies, I'd say give it a shot. Because the payoff is really, really good in Flesh and Blood.
So explaining agoraphobia. This is a fear of wide open spaces, crowds, and uncontrolled social conditions.
Yeah.
So like walking at the mall, then you can have that's for one, like just putting it into perspective for those who don't understand.
Yeah.
But
I have watched more than these movies that I mentioned now, but like I said,
but these were the ones that were most worthy of being mentioned.
Yeah, well, like I said, if I'm gonna talk about everything I watched, we'll be here for 4 hours, and I'm talking for 3 of them or 3.5.
No, you're gonna be talking for 3 hours and 50 minutes, and then we're gonna like squeeze in what we think about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then we end the episode because everyone is gonna be so tired.
Yeah.
But as mentioned, let's start talking about the movie. But before that, let's roll the trailer
for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974.
Yes.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America. This is the movie that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chain Saw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
The siblings Franklin and Sally, together with 3 of their friends, are driving through Texas after a series of bizarre grave robbing has occurred at the cemetery where their grandfather is buried. After visiting the cemetery, they head for the ruins of their grandfather's old house. And not soon after their arrival there, they split up for some teenage shenanigans. What they don't know is that evil is lurking nearby, and soon they find themselves falling prey to a chainsaw-wielding maniac and his psychopathic family. And as I am very curious, because this is a very well-known movie, and we have a very horror and such lovers in this podcast, I want to know, Angel, what did you think of this movie?
Let's see, this is, I believe, the third time I watched it. It's not as good as I remember it to be. It's so good. I mean, it's a classic. Yeah, I don't know, like, it's a decent watch. It's nothing I would sit down to watch willingly unless someone asks me to, or like you haven't watched it before. Then I'll gladly watch it with the person. But I don't know, it's not as good as I remember it to be, and yeah, maybe Dead by Daylight has killed my feelings towards Leatherface some, because he's a freaking meme. But yeah.
Yeah, easy happened.
Yeah.
And Joseph, what did you think of the movie?
What rating will Angel give it?
That too.
7 out of 10 chainsaw wielding maniacs.
Did you say 7 out of 10?
7 out of 10.
Okay, I heard you correctly then.
Yes.
Okay, is it my turn or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. The Texas Chain Saw Massacre is a movie that it's kind of hard to talk about without really mentioning basically everything that has already been said about a billion times already. Yes, I think it's a good movie, and yes, I think it is a classic. But with that being said, I think the movie got some flaws in it, which doesn't put it up there together with the other big classics of the 70s and 80s for me. The acting is nothing to write home about, and until they get to the Sawyer house, I'm honestly pretty bored by the movie. The scenes in the van with the hitchhiker just drags on and on and on, and it's just, those are just a plot device to get that character into the story later on, basically.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like a filler of time.
Yeah, just to fill the running time, basically. Well, that's, yeah. But with that being said, when things finally starts to kick off and everything is set into motion, I truly enjoy the movie. Up until the dinner scene, I never liked that scene. I understand why the scene is like it is, with basically an assault on your senses with the constant screaming and the quick editing, and you know, I just find the whole scene is just irritating to me, and every time I watch the movie I just start to zone out of the movie and I start to fiddle around with my phone instead.
Yeah, I feel like that that can really damage like what you think of the rest of the movie because of that scene alone.
Yeah. But the thing is that I've seen the Texas Chain Saw Massacre 20, 30 times. But that scene has always bored me for some reason. I don't find it scary. I don't find it entertaining. I just find it irritating with this constant screaming. And
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, like, there's not very much dialogue in that scene. It just feels like it's only screaming. Yes.
Well, you got Sally on one hand, who's screaming
Yeah.
her lungs out, and then you got the hitchhiker, the cook, and Leatherface on the other side, who screams almost as much as her.
Yeah.
Just to taunt her, but I understand why the scene is like it is, but I don't like it. The movie loses me at that point. But with that being said, the last part when Sally finally gets away and runs for the truck is awesome. It's super intense, and I love how she barely gets away from Leatherface, and the final of the movie is fucking great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's very, very iconic with that last shot with Leatherface swinging the chainsaw around, and he does his little dance or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean that's a classic moment in horror movie history. It's great.
Yeah.
And also going back to like the dinner scene, like I told Zombie when we were watching it together, I have never wanted to scream to someone to shut the fuck up so much in my whole life as during that scene.
Yeah.
She is just so annoying. It's just like, can the scene be over? It's like, I want to skip that scene. I want to fast forward. It's that annoying.
Yeah.
But you can at the same time understand why the scene is there, right?
Oh yeah. Like I get why it's there. It's just like it's so annoying.
Yeah.
I think it's a scene that hasn't aged very well. It was probably pretty terrifying, like when the movie was new.
Yeah.
But now that the acting and everything has evolved, it's just outdated, which makes it annoying.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I saw it.
Yeah.
It also feels. Excuse me. It just also feels a bit like you can only scream for so long before your voice gives out, and it feels like should be tearing her voice cords like off at some point during all that screaming. But yeah, you do have a point.
Yeah. I would say that the ending, together with the chase scene just before the dinner scene, when Leatherface is chasing Sally through the woods, is probably the best things with the entire movie. And I can't forget to mention the brilliance of the iconic introduction of the movie as well, of course. With that eerie voice telling us, the viewers, that the film you are about to see is an account of blah 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 blah, and the quick flashes of rotting corpses that follows just sets the mood for what will happen later on in the film.
Yeah.
So the beginning and the end are the strongest points in the movie, in my opinion.
What rating would you give it, so we can have everyone's opinion?
I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Ogge, your turn. What did you think of the movie?
Overall, it's a good movie, and I've seen it like a bunch of times when I was younger.
When you were a youngster.
Yes, I was a kid.
Now you're an old man.
Yeah. Well, the thing I noticed is that like it hasn't aged very well in like the acting. like there's lots of screaming and lots of corny stuff, particularly that dinner scene, but also the hitchhiker.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
those scenes were pretty annoying for the most part, and it kind of destroyed the entire mood of the movie.
Yeah.
I think when the movie was new, it would probably be a bit more scary. But
Yeah,
like
well,
Joseph said,
sorry to interrupt, but when you watch a movie from the 70s, you have to put on the 70s glasses, so to speak.
yeah, I know.
Really. But I agree with you. The acting hasn't aged that well, to be fair.
Yeah, it gets a bit too much at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, the opening, like the opening speech and those shots of like rotting corpses and animals really sets the tone.
Yeah.
And also the chase scene. I didn't like the dinner scene, but it's I do still like the part when they're trying to kill her during the dinner scene. I think it's kind of horrifying.
When they
Yeah, they try.
when they get grandpa.
Yeah, they try to get the old man to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still remember that scene from when I was young and watched it, and that was disturbing.
If I remember correctly, they actually cut Marilyn Burns' finger in that scene.
Yeah,
real.
I have that, like, one of the facts, like, the actor of Leatherface
Gunnar Hansson.
couldn't, yeah, he couldn't get, like, the fake blood to come out, so he got frustrated and took, like, the piece of tape that he had on the knife to make it blunt. He took it off and then just cut. And so, Meredith, her reaction was genuine in that moment, like,
Ooh.
well, he's cutting my finger.
I think Marilyn Burns did all of her own stunts as well. But when she jumps out of the window, she really jumps out of the window.
Yeah. No wonder,
which is pretty impressive even today, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually. It looked like they really hit her on the head with hammer too. It looked very real.
Yeah.
But it might have been just a fake hammer or something. I don't know.
or simply a very light one that they hit, like, semi-hard. I just have
also-
one fucking out.
Yeah. Also, like the final chase scene is awesome. The thing about it I find a bit funny though is the truck driver.
Yeah.
I wonder what went through his head at that.
It's like,
I wonder what went through the guy in the truck who picks up Marilyn Burns' thought.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
like,
Like,
she
first he
just-
runs over a guy, and then a lot of girls come running, and then a guy with a freaking chainsaw starts chasing them.
yeah,
Eventually, he's just fuck this, and just
yeah,
runs away.
it's like the pure, oh hell no!
I didn't
Turns
need this. I didn't need to deliver this truck that much. Fuck
No,
it.
exactly.
I wonder how he explained it to his boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, something happened.
So there was this guy with a chainsaw. Like,
I actually thought about that this time around. I was looking at the black truck driver, and his face, it looks like he's not even bothered by the situation.
you know, it happens so
Yeah.
much in Texas. You know, every other stop is this killer trying to kill you.
It's Texas, it wouldn't be surprising to be honest.
Yeah, but it's just she runs out to this road and just get more and more people into being chased by Leatherface. Like, this truck driver, be chased by him with me.
I wonder if Leatherface would have killed the truck driver, or if he just would go after Sally.
Yeah, because he just went one way and he still chased Sally, despite
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, he didn't care about the truck driver when he was running away.
Mm.
Yeah.
It may be that once he set his motives on one victim, he wants that one killed before he can move on to another one, possibly.
Yeah.
But Ogge, what would you give it for a rating?
I don't know.
Minus
I give it
10,
an
this
8.
movie fucking sucks!
Yeah, a 1.
To be determined.
No, it's 10. No, 8. I mean 8 out of 10. It's 1, 8 or 10.
Guess in the comments.
Yeah, no, 8 of 10.
8
Yeah.
out of 10, okay.
Mm.
Same as me
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Have you seen the movie before?
Huh?
Have you seen the movie before this?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
other?
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned that he had seen it a couple of times.
I have the memory of a goldfish, okay?
Does-
don't do this to me.
It has so much zombies paying attention to the movie. Or to the recording. Forget it.
I get lost in the comments of everyone
There's
saying
nothing
things.
wrong with my memory. I just don't give a shit what you say. But yeah, Zombie, what did you think about the Texas Chain Saw Massacre? It was the first time for you, right?
Yeah, and I had heard a lot of it before. Not like anything spoiler, but just it being praises being sung about it. And so I went in with a tad bit high expectations. But it was a decent movie, and I can see why people would consider it a classic, because it have this scenes and the environment with the house is very unsettling and whatnot, and the character Leatherface is it's a very good character to have as a killer. But also it did have its flaws, such as the dinner scene that we've already talked about. And for me, a bit, not the whole part, but at the ending, it felt a bit like they didn't know how to end the movie, so they just decided to end it as it were. Not in a bad way necessarily, but it said to me that it didn't really know how to end it. But I really did like the beginning, though. The beginning was very well made. It really did a good job in hyping you up for the movie with its visuals and the narrator and the radio person just talking casually in the background.
Yeah, oh, Jesus, excuse me. Yeah, together with the rotting corpses.
Yeah. So, I think the intro for me is the best part. It didn't really have too strong characters, but they were all right characters. And yeah, that's about it. I do have some scenes that I talk about, like when you have this father of the family that's from the gas station, and
The
when
cook.
the cook, when Sally meets her when Sally meets him for the second time
Yeah.
after being chased.
That was actually a thing I was gonna talk about as well. You're thinking about his split personality thing.
A tad bit. Also, just I love the scene where I think she's wielding a knife or something at him, and he just picks up a broom and starts gently hitting her. Like she's like some misbehaving dog, like bad dog, bad dog. There you go.
That scene was my favorite scene of the whole movie. Now when I rewatch it, it's like,
And
yes.
he is a very like calm character, I would say.
The
Depending on
thing
the
with him
situation.
is, and I honestly think he's more creepy than Leatherface is,
Mm,
because
Yeah.
and returning to the dinner scene again.
Yeah.
You know, in that scene, like I said, he got this split personality thing going on, where he, in 1 second, is laughing together with the others, the hitchhiker and Leatherface, and is terrorizing Sally and taunting her and whatnot. And in the next second, he stands up and says something like, "You don't have to torment the poor girl."
Yeah. He has a very twisted side to him, yet he has a very gentle side, kind of.
Yeah.
But
And
He's-
he also warns Sally, Franklin, and Kirk, Pam,
yeah,
and I can't remember the last guy's name.
Fuck him.
Yeah, cause fuck him. To continue on with the travel down the road, so to speak.
yeah,
And honestly, like, if you can see like this, Leatherface is pretty much just like one big misunderstood baby. Like, mentally, he's like, what,
I-
3?
Yeah, I don't know if he is supposed to be retarded in this movie.
The thing is,
The-
I
yeah,
believe.
I know he's retarded in the sequels, but I don't know if they make it obvious in this one that he is mentally challenged.
I believe that he is mentally challenged, and brain fart. Like mentally challenged, he doesn't really understand. Yeah, it's like he's mentally 5 or something
Yeah.
with this mental handicap. And then his family is a bunch of psychos, so he turns out even worse than he would have been with a normal family.
Yeah.
because like the cook tells like the hitchhiker, which is his other older brother, I think, that he was supposed to like look after him and such. And
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah. I didn't think about that.
I think that is more because of him having the mentality of a like 5-year-old rather than him being a vicious killer.
Yeah. I know that he is retarded in the remake and the prequel to the remake. They make it very, very clear that he is mentally challenged in those movies.
Mm.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. And yeah, it like the family as a whole, I would say, is a very good like unit of the movie because of this big Leatherface and the father that is very controlling. He is much smaller than Leatherface, yet he still has such like a iron grip on him. And this hitchhiker, older brother, that is just he's just pure chaos without like
Yeah.
without the same killing streak as his brother. So that's the powerhouse of the movie, I would say.
Yeah. A question to Angel and Ogge. Have you guys seen the sequels and the remake and prequel to the remake?
I have watched every single Texas Chain Saw Massacre movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm insulted that you would question me on that.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was kind of that tone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Zombie skipped the first movie and just watched the sequels. Fuck the original.
Exactly. No, I've watched every one of them, even the newest one.
Okay.
I haven't seen the sequels, but I've seen all the remakes.
The remake from 2003, I think, and the prequel from 2006. I believe. Okay.
We actually, when I was in high school here, we actually got to watch the remake in my class.
Jesus.
Wow.
It was for our English lesson. And since, well, we were all very special kids, and we were a small class of about 6 people, we got to choose what we wanted to do for our English lesson. And it was watching Texas Chain Saw Massacre. But it wasn't the fucking original one. Triggered.
Okay, I got one last thing I wanna mention real quick. Then I'm pretty much done. You guys know that this movie is, I wouldn't say based on, but I would much rather call it inspired by Ed Gein and the Manson family.
Yep.
Yeah, I read about that while looking up for random facts.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which also inspired Psycho, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ed Gein inspired Alfred Hitchcock to do Psycho.
Yeah.
Oh
and the
no!
entire fam-
It inspired the writer of the novel of Psycho.
Okay. And the entire family loosely inspired this movie. If I'm not wrong.
Ed Gein and the Manson family inspired this movie. And the genius with this movie, at least back in 1974, was that when it was released, they said that the events in the movie really happened. And this is based on true events. And for the longest time, people actually thought it had happened.
Yeah.
And
Oh. No, you can continue.
no, go on.
I was just gonna mention, speaking of like ideas for the movie, I think the initial Leatherface, that his idea, made by a Tobe Hooper, if I'm not wrong pronouncing.
I usually pronounce it Tobe Hooper.
Tobe Hooper.
Tobe Hooper.
The idea of Leatherface, I think, came around when he was Christmas shopping in a very crowded store, and he was standing like next to a rack or something with chainsaws, and all he could think was, this would be so much easier to get through if I just wielded the chainsaw everywhere and swung.
Oh my god!
And then he was like, I could make something of that.
Wow.
And so Leatherface.
I did know that the movie was inspired by these 2 actual families and everything. But what is it called? Actually, was it? Yeah. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could go for some facts if we're all have said our pieces.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm done. And I actually don't have any background because, like we mentioned a couple of times, this is one of the most well-known horror movies ever made. So there are tons and tons and tons of documentaries and information if you just...
Yeah, I just picked out some that I thought like were a bit interesting.
Yeah, the shoot.
Yeah, like for example, the beginning like working titles of the movie before they started shooting was like they sound unreal, but like head cheese. It was one of the titles, and one obvious Leatherface was the other before Texas Chain Saw Massacre became the actual title.
Well, were Leatherface a working title for the Texas Chain Saw Massacre?
Yeah. But before that...
The latest installment in the Texas Chain Saw Massacre franchise is called Leatherface.
Well, they used it. Now they only need to use head cheese. Which was a nod to like the scene in the car where the hitchhiker spoke of how to make like the head cheese.
Yeah.
And speaking of the dinner scene, it was so chaotic and whatnot because it was all made in like one piece. In like one 24-hour marathon. Which I did not know. Because the actor John Dugan, which was the grandpa, had to sit through hours to put on the makeup, and he refused to do it again. So he was like, we're doing all of this now. And apparently there was some very, very foul odor in that room, so several people puked during the filming of that scene.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so they had to like open the window, puke a little, and then go back to like being killed or whatnot. And Gunnar Hansen, which is, as previously said, Leatherface, is 6'4", which is around...
He was.
Well, okay, rest in peace. He was 6'4", which is around 195 centimeters. Yet he used 3-inch heels, which made him 6'7", which is around 200 centimeters, which made him have like most of his like injuries and inconveniences because he would often hit his head on like props and whatnot that hung around. And he did not like that.
Sounds like a very aggressive man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Understand?
He sadly passed away a couple of years ago.
Aw, that's sad.
He also
I really like that.
he didn't appear in that many movies from what I know, but one movie I personally like is Mosquito.
Oh.
Which he appeared in. That movie is about giant mosquitoes, so yeah.
Isn't this like someone who almost gets stung up the ass in that movie?
What?
That's one scene I remember from one movie, but I can't remember the name of the movie.
Isn't it? What's it called? Stung.
Yeah.
With the giant wasps.
No, it was mosquitoes. It wasn't the wasp. Hey, Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Hey. Sorry, I have a dog in my life.
It happens.
Yes. Yeah, yes, casually has a dog in their life. Yeah. Yeah.
But one more thing that I wanted to speak of was the fact that, or actually two things, because even though people talk about the movie being gory, it is surprisingly not as gory as it could be. And that is because Hopper wanted the movie to have a PG rating to reach as many people as possible, which didn't happen. It got an R rating in the end.
And it was probably mostly because of the title.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I think that the movie got its reputation and it got banned in a lot of countries
Yeah,
solely
did.
because of the title.
Yeah, it actually got banned in Sweden also
Yeah.
for a long time
Yeah.
before it was like cut and then released in 93 or 94.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, there isn't really anything to cut either.
No, not really. There's like no gore.
Yeah.
Yeah, due to the fact that he wanted a PG rating. But you know,
Because
you
like
can't always get what you want.
Instead, he created one of the most controversial movies ever made.
Yeah, that gives the question how he would have done it if he didn't care about the PG rating, because in that case he would have gone like more all out on like the gore and
yeah,
the
it
blood.
would
Full on
definitely
gore.
be much more gore and much more blood. Because like
Yeah.
the most gore you get to see is probably when she gets hooked.
I can't remember which scene it is, but I know there was one scene where you see some blood splatter.
Yeah, and like surprisingly from the title, which is Chainsaw Massacre, I think only one character does get killed by a chainsaw,
Yeah.
which is the funny part.
Speaking of him, by the way, what do you guys think of Franklin?
Which one is that?
The guy in the
The
wheelchair.
He's an
Yeah.
annoying prick. That's all he is. But then again, I can give him some dispense on being stuck in a wheelchair and can't really do a lot. And that his friends are kind of dicks who leaves him.
Yeah.
Because I actually do have a friend, or had a friend that was in a wheelchair. We're not friends anymore. And we always, when he was along, we always saw that someone helped him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're friends, and you're there for each other, not like these pricks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was sort of the fifth wheel.
Oh yeah.
I kind of felt sorry for the guy, but at the same time I thought he was pretty annoying at times. But at the same time, I like I said, I felt sorry for him. But did anyone else catch that he was the only one who started to think that something was wrong before the shit hit the fan?
Yeah.
Kinda not. Like he was the only one that actually wanted to like go away and get like gas and whatnot.
Yeah, but it seemed like I guess he didn't understand what was going on, but
He had basic instinct.
yeah, it looked like he thought that something was up, something was wrong, and he wanted to leave because of that.
Yeah, because he saw like the things at the house.
Yeah, the
with
bones.
like bones, and that would cause for suspicion because that means someone has been there, and then you don't know if they're still there or not.
Yeah. Ogge, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was pretty annoying, but sometimes was pretty funny. Like he's a bit too much 70 cheese on that guy. But yeah, I especially like this Texas accent. I I thought it sounded pretty funny. But yeah, I actually liked him.
Huh. I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah, me too. I normally hate characters like that, but it wasn't so bad. I don't know why.
Did you feel sorry for him?
Maybe.
It's like you can understand why he's annoyed, like being stuck and everybody's just upstairs ignoring him, giggling and whatnot, and he's just like, "Yeah, come, it will be fun," as he mumbled, like, "It will be fun," they said. "Let's go," they said.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
then the
would be
fact that
pissed.
he like rolled
Yeah, I would be
backwards.
pissed off too.
Yeah.
Same here. But yeah, do you have anything else for us, Zombie?
I have said my piece. I don't have any more facts. And as Joseph said earlier, there is a lot of like documentaries and whatnot to find about the movie,
Yeah.
because it's a well-liked movie, and it's both that and an old movie. So you can find if you want to know more.
Yeah.
And so, what will be the next movie? will
The
it
next
be? Valentine?
movie is our Valentine special with Valentine from 2001.
Yeah. And this movie, or rather episode, will it play out with a certain song, Joseph?
We are playing out with Slackjaw Gazer's Devil's Finest. I will put a link to the full song in the description, because one of my ex-colleagues is in this band, so you know I want to promote them a little bit.
Nice. And as always, let's say goodbye to the good people.
Goodbye, good folks. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, good folks.
Yeah, goodbye, good people. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, good people. Thank you for listening, and let's hope to hear from you in another episode.
What Zombie said.
Wind was quite a loner, he could only get a boner wearing women's skin ripped right off its owner. And his house was never clean, but he was always keen on being a good son to Mrs. Skeen. His furniture and decorations made from parts found under gravestones sent shivers across the nation. A highlight of humanity, free from pride and vanity, not guilty for reasons of insanity.